going on, everybody? My name is Johnny Bandon. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Trepid Technologies. In today's video, we're going to be going over domain 1.3 of the Security Plus SY0-701 exam. And in this subsection, we're going to go over technical implications in security. So essentially what we're doing is rehashing what we just did in our previous video, if you're watching this in order, and going over the approval processes and the change management organization, but now kind of keying in on the technical things that could happen, the little technical ripple effects of when you want to do some policy-based things in your organization. So if we have a policy that we want to restrict activities, what's the technical implications of that? Well, that may mean that users will have a harder time downloading and trying out new software. So the technical implications is that maybe our help desk team is going to be fielding a lot more requests to add a software to the whitelist. And with that, we'll have to talk about what a whitelist is, right? So let's go ahead and get started. I'll get my face out of here because that is not needed for learning. So understanding technical implications in security. In the realm of cybersecurity, every action and policy can have a range of technical implications affecting both security posture and operational performance. So what I like to always go back to, guys, is this is really the CIA triad, where you can't have too much confidentiality because then that may ruin your availability, right? You want to make sure your systems are still highly ready, highly available, and highly operational without, i.e., making yourself exposed, but you don't want to harden your infrastructure to a point where it's even hard to conduct business. So this section will delve into key aspects like allow/deny lists, restricted activities, downtime, service and application restarts, legacy applications, and dependencies. So the first thing we're going to talk about is allow list and deny list, sometimes known as whitelist or blacklist. So these are going to be fundamental things in controlling access to resources. Now, this is just essentially access control, right? What are we going to allow and deny our users from accessing as far as like applications go or resources on the network? Now, this is high level, right? So allow list and deny list, this is a high level kind of security posture thing. Now, when we get into actually implementing these, the devices you're going to want to look at are things like your next generation firewalls. This could just be as simple as your software store. So I know in Microsoft, like SCCM, you can have like an actual application store where you can set up whitelisting or blacklisting depending on what, again, your organizational risk. Don't get too caught up, right? This is a CompTIA exam. Like, well, how do I actually do this? It could be so this could just be setting permissions on an object, or this could be as tight as a next generation firewall where we're actually doing some preventative actions, or this could be just having a software store that only your users can download from, right? This could be having something on the actual web browsers that you lock down where they're not allowed to go to certain websites that would allow them to download software, okay? But this is just high level. What is an allow list? What is a deny list? Sometimes known as whitelist or blacklist. So allow lists, they have what's called an implicit deny at the end of them. So imagine this is an actual list. So let's say like we have allow Facebook. If we just leave that there, that's our entire list. So on our next generation firewall, I said allow the application Facebook. At the end, you don't need to configure this. There'll just be an implicit deny that says deny all. And if you ever work in networking, that's how all your access control lists are. They have an implicit deny. But anyways, so that's what a whitelist is. So what's the technical impact of this? So having that tidy control allows for a good security posture. It allows for you to know exactly what's being installed on your enterprise and what's being allowed. However, operationally, what's going to happen, like if we have a research and development department that's always trying new things, that needs this new SaaS or this new software that they have funding for, well, it's going to be a big pain. You're going to be fielding a lot of requests, probably through your like ticketing system, just for this, just for allowing a new application, okay? So that's a technical impact. Technically, you have tighter control, but now you may be fielding a lot more requests, and you may affect the operations of your organization. All scenario dependent, okay? Now, a blacklist, that has what's called an implicit allow at the end, where instead of doing allows, you do denies. So deny this application or deny this or that. So with the denies, you have to go in and actually say, okay, we want this malicious software that we know about to be denied. Or maybe we can be a little bit more granular and say our next generation firewall is going to get fed an AI plugin that says anything with this signature. So you're doing like signature based detection, deny. It could be like that as well. But essentially the point of this is that a deny list allows a lot more freedom for your users. So operationally, this may help you, but it's going to expose you to new threats because you have to manually go in there and put these deny entries, okay? So depending on your risk appetite in your organization, probably is going to determine, and this is going to be top level down if you're doing a whitelist or blacklisting. And sometimes it's not that black and white, right? Okay, pun intended. Sometimes you do both. Sometimes in a single list, you'll have allows and deny statements, still with that implicit deny at the end, okay? So it's not always just one or the other. There could be a mix in your organization. Okay, impacts on restricted activities. So restricting certain activities is crucial for maintaining security, but can impede operational efficiency. So this is essentially talking about a whitelist, right? This is just saying we're restricting users to only install what we put on an app store for them. Not a third-party app store, not the Apple App Store. This could be something that we have deployed in over our enterprise infrastructure. This is the company's app store, okay? So if we restrict what websites they can access, the use of external devices, software limitations, then obviously our security is bolstered. We have more control, but now that may hinder user productivity. Something I like to think of, like working in a secure environment, is as an IT person, sometimes it was kind of hard because in a secure environment, you might not have the IT guy's best friend, something like Google. So you would have to just kind of know, right? Or you'd have to research, like leave the secure area and go research on your phone, put your phone back in your car and go back into that secure area and be like, okay, I think it said to use this command on this Cisco router. Really tough, right? So it could, this could hinder productivity when you have a lot of restricted activities on your enterprise, especially in the IT team if you restrict things like Google. Okay, downtime, a necessary evil in security. So downtime, whether it's for maintenance or unplanned due to like a breach, it's part of security that you plan for this, okay? So planned downtime is used for updates, patches, and system checks. In our previous video, we called this a service interruption or a maintenance window. It's all the same, right? It's downtime. So a maintenance window causes downtime, okay? And then unplanned downtimes occur due to breaches or failures. So what you want to do, the technical impact of downtime, while it could be essential for security when you apply patches, it's going to disrupt business operations. So there's just no way around it. Even if you pick a time from 2 to 4 a.m., there could be that one customer going on your website looking to buy something. And if you're down, you lost some money. So it's just something we have to realize. And with this downtime, later on we'll learn this, you get into things like MTTRs, mean time to repairs, RTOs and RPOs, which pretty much go over like, okay, how much time can we be down before we literally start losing money and are not profitable for the month or something like that, okay? So we'll get into that later on in this section where we kind of determine how much downtime is allowable for our organization. Service restart. So restarting services is often required after updates. Again, this causes a downtime. So the technical impact is it could be an inconsistent user experience if you're always having to do service restarts. So you just want to make sure you plan around that. Application restarts. Guys, same thing. Now you're just talking about an application. Now again, restarts are going to happen in your organization. Anytime you apply an update, usually you have to restart an application. This is something you just have to be aware of if it's impact. Legacy applications. So what is a legacy application or a legacy device? So the example I always use is you going with a startup vendor, or you picking a vendor that's a startup for one of their software as a service solutions, and they go out of business 2 years later. And you built your entire business off that one solution, or a big portion of your money-making abilities off that software solution. Well, now it's legacy because it's never going to get a patch. It's never going to be updated. And now it's critical to your infrastructure. So why do I talk about this? Because legacy applications, a lot of times students are like, just update it, just upgrade it. Well, sometimes you can't. Because sometimes updating or replacing that legacy system can be very costly and disruptive because it may be an integral part of your systems. So as a business manager, as someone who's relying on that business to make me money to feed my family, you're probably not worried about that legacy application having vulnerabilities if you go to your security team and they say, well, it could be breached, and what would happen is we'd have some reputation damage. There's been times like when Facebook just outright breaks EU laws like the GDPR, that's an operational cost to them, right? 100 mil here, whatever, it's fine, and we make more money on the back end selling your data. So legacy applications are just anything that the vendor no longer supports or the vendor went out of business, and now if they're vulnerable, there's no patch coming, okay? So technical impact, if you want to update or replace it, it can be costly and disruptive. If you have to live with a legacy application, you're going to want to do things like have some mitigation controls or something called compensation controls. And this is where maybe you put a host-based firewall on there. You make that legacy server have an inline like network intrusion detection system or prevention system. Make sure you do the hardening steps that you can, right? Closing vulnerable ports and things of that nature. Okay, understanding dependencies. So dependencies are just things that an application relies on that the user doesn't see. It's not part of the UI or UX experience, right? So you want to make sure that you're not affecting dependencies that could have a ripple effect within the organization. Okay, then documentation. So this is like the biggest enemy sometimes of the best engineers I've seen, where they have everything in their head, but they sometimes are not the best at documenting, and it's documentation. And especially if you are a part of an organization that's gone through a lot of change, maybe some mergers, this is going to be very vital that you document everything. So let's go over that. So diagrams, network diagrams, a very integral part of mapping out your infrastructure, just having that diagram. Having that diagram helps you in troubleshooting, helps you understand why something is the way it is, why it was architectured out throughout your organization. If someone has to leave or you're onboarding new people, that diagram as far as like the network team or systems team is going to be very, very important. And we have to be up to date with it. So there's a lot of programs out there like Microsoft Visio. That's like the main one you always see kind of like large organizations. Now we have like some automated ways to do this. There's a lot of programs out there that do network mapping for you and create those diagrams for you. You want to make sure these are up to date so there's no misleading information. So how to update diagrams effectively, you just have a system in place. Anytime there's change management, part of that change management should be make sure documentation is updated before the change takes place or during, right? So that could just be something that's a part of your organization, that's part of the culture, is that any change needs to be documented or your work's not done. We're not closing out that ticket until the documentation's uploaded. I've seen some MSPs do that, where their knowledge management base, if there's a ticket, there better be a knowledge management base link in it before it's closed, right? And I think that's a great way to do it, especially in MSPs, where that consistent workflow and customer delivery is so important. Make sure before you close that ticket, have your workers, your employees say, put the knowledge management base link next to it. Because if there's not, we're not considering this ticket done yet. Okay, now policies and procedures. So security policies and procedures must evolve with changing threats, technologies, and regulatory requirements. We want to make sure that we regularly update and review them. And the consequences of outdated policies is ineffective security controls. You could have like compliance issues, right? If you have an outdated policy, if you created a policy for PCI DSS back in 2005, the year's 2024 now, you're going to have some compliance issues, right? Especially if that's what the security team is still using. So methodology for policy procedure updates, conduct periodic reviews in line with industry best practices or after significant changes in the operational environment. You always want to involve stakeholders. So make sure that if you're updating an IT policy, but it's working on servers and services that affect sales, marketing, R&D, and accounting, bring them into the conversation at some level. Have that feedback loop with your employees to make sure that you're making changes that help all relevant parties. Version control. So keeping track of documentation. So having a version control is so important. Every OS developer, which is just, Windows, Mac, Linux, application developers always have versions so they know all the changes they've done. It's so important. It prevents confusion and ensures everyone is working with the most current information, and this aids in audit trails. So best practices in version control: use version control systems or software for tracking changes. Maintain change logs for each document or each code change you do. Have the author, maybe have some digital signatures on there. And then ensure accessibility of current and previous versions to authorized personnel only. So let me show you guys my MacBook, right? So my version is Ventura. What you see here, I'm going to kind of go over this. They don't say you have to specifically go over this, but I want to show you. This is the major version. This is the minor version. And then this is a patch. And then sometimes you have a .beta after that. So that's how the versioning works. That's major, minor, the patch, and then you could have a .beta that's optional, right? Because not everything's in beta. Just to show you that, oops, sorry. Let me bring that back into view. That we do the same thing in my own company, right? Good version control. Is we have a user management portal on our site. And you can see this here. So that's our major, our minor, our patch, and then we actually have the beta there because it is beta. You see our version 1 isn't out yet because it's not a fully developed feature yet. Now we're going to go over our quiz questions for this domain. As you can see here, we're doing the quiz for domain 1.3, technical implications in version control. So this is how we verify that we understand what we're learning. And if you choose to purchase one of our self-paced courses or live virtual training or go to one of our in-person courses, you get lifetime access to our Academy site with over 1,000 practice questions using our software. And this is very mobile friendly, and we're going to deploy an app to do this March 2024. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go over this. So I'm going to read the question, give a pause, let you answer it, and then I'm going to go with my answer. So first question: why is it important to update documentation such as diagrams and policies and procedures during the change management process? A, to provide training materials for new employees. B, to ensure that all stakeholders have the latest information. C, to comply with industry regulations. Or D, to facilitate future troubleshooting efforts. I'm going to go with B, to ensure that all stakeholders have the latest information. Remember, stakeholders being anyone that has a vested interest in the company, which really should be all the employees, right? Question 2, what is the primary security benefit of using allow list and deny list in change management? A, to enhance user privacy and data protection. B, to control which changes are permitted or denied in the system. C, to streamline software development processes. Or D, to increase the efficiency of network traffic. I'm going to go with B. So B, allow lists and deny lists are crucial in change management for controlling which software applications and processes are permitted or denied. And now for this final question, I'm going to answer it incorrectly just to show you how our software will explain what is the right answer, even when you answer wrong. So in the context of change management, what is the significance of version control? So the correct answer is going to be D, but I'm going to go ahead and just click A here. So we can see that we get an explanation and we get told what the correct answer is. The correct answer is to manage the changes in software development and deployment. Thank you all for viewing, and if you're an active duty, reserve, or National Guard soldier and you're looking to get certified, click that link in the description below and let us help you apply for funding using credentialing assistance. Every single soldier, whether you're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, gets $4 grand a year for certifications, guys. I mean, this is crazy. You get $4 grand a year to just apply for your future and get CompTIA, Cisco, Microsoft, Azure, anything certification for free, paid for by the Army. So if you're interested in that, click that link in the description below. And if your unit, corporation, or organization is ever interested in in-person training, reach out to us. Go to our website, DM me, whatever you got to do. We'd love to come out and train you. So I want to thank you for viewing, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.